So welcome everyone. We're here to talk a little bit about how to use real estate investments and other business options to qualify for a U.S. visa. So first, a little bit about something important. Lauren, can we go please to the next slide?
Didn't I go?
There.
Am I not on the disclaimer? Okay, because it's there's a delay. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. So obviously we have to put this disclaimer out there. Please make sure that, you know, if you really want us to represent you and to guide you in the path, you do have to schedule a consult, but really want to make sure that this is important, that you guys know that we don't guarantee, represent, warrant, or otherwise promise that your business revenues, income, funding opportunities, development, expansion, or other business goals will be met, increase, or improve as a result of the work product. Similarly, there are likewise no guarantees when it comes to the visa approval process, and we will pave the path to guide you towards success. But ultimately, the decision to approve or deny a visa application is at the discretion of the consular officer or other party reviewing the application. So, investing across borders guidance, suggestions, recommendations, blog, website, newsletter, and other forms of communication contain general information about legal and related matters, and the information is not legal advice and should not be treated as such. You must not rely on the information on this website or this presentation as an alternative to legal advice from your attorney or other professional legal service provider. If you have any specific questions, you should.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Okay, so who is Lauren? Lauren Cohen. Well, she's a Canadian living the American dream, a cross-border attorney and expert, a licensed realtor and chair of the EXP International Investment Committee, immigration concierge and quarterback, best-selling author. She's actually written more than one book, a franchise broker, where we help our clients with a lot of franchise options, featured in multiple mediums internationally, a global keynote speaker, and an activist and a philanthropist. We can go to the next slide, Lauren. And we're going to explain a little bit more in detail how Lauren got involved in this, because it's a crazy story. So as I mentioned, Lauren's been featured everywhere. And these are the 3 books that she's either been featured in or she has written herself. The Immigrant also was not written by her, but she's featured there. How 50 entrepreneurs came to America and built something out of nothing. The second book that you see is a franchise book, and it's very helpful for a lot of our clients who don't understand what the concept is. And then the last one is finding your silver lining in the business immigration process, because Lauren actually found the immigration process through, I'm going to get to it in a second, and you'll see why she wrote that book. All right, so Lauren, we're going to share your story with your permission, because we're going to save your voice for the good stuff.
Thank you.
So she was living in Toronto and had a really comfortable life, but she wanted more. She wanted her best life away from the snow and the long, cold winters and all the rules that were in place. And you have to remember, this was years ago, so I'm sure there's more rules now. But she wanted to live in sunshine all year round, go to the beach. She loves going to the beach. She lives very close to the beach. She wanted to pave the path to a more secure future for her and, in the future for her family that she was going to create. Wanted access to a broader economy with more opportunity and to have a greater impact on others. So she thought that Canada and the life that she had there was comfortable, but it wasn't enough. So she dreamt of immigrating to the US and find personal and professional happiness, freedom, and success. And so she earned her law degree from Law School in Toronto. And she wanted to explore opportunities south of the border. She was really determined to achieve her goals. But she didn't know what was ahead of her to...
No, definitely didn't.
Excuse me. Just a second, it's probably loading. So this is really the experience that when I met Lauren, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. So the first frustrating experience came in 1997. So you guys have to remember, this was way before 9/11, right? When things were very, very different. And the Custom and Border Protection agents refused to let her in the US. and forced her to wait into one of those holding rooms that we hate seeing because you're always praying that you're never there, right? When you get to the airport. And they questioned her. So, and they really were going to decide her fate. But the next bump in the road occurred a few years later after the approval of her H-1B visa. And while it was truly devastating at the time, if she didn't experience it, she would have ended up in another field of immigration law, but it was a big deal and traumatic at the time. So she's been...
Yeah, super traumatic.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Wait, there's more.
And I think this one was really, I think this is the icing on the cake. She recently...
Yeah, for sure.
Had married a Canadian. I mean, imagine being in love and everything, and you go to Asia on your honeymoon. And when they came back really from their honeymoon in Chicago, that she was taken to the holding room once again, only to find out that her husband at the time, he was going through the process of adjusting his immigration status, but pretty much he was actually expeditiously removed from the US and sent to immigration jail and deported back to Canada. So here's Lauren. She just got married to this guy, and this was, as you guys can imagine, super traumatic, because he was sent back to Canada. So a pretty crazy situation.
In retrospect, not so traumatic, but at the time, very traumatic. Hence the name of my book, which is called Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process. It was a crazy, crazy story. And if I hadn't lived through it myself, I honestly wouldn't believe it, but it happened. So my ex-husband was actually put in immigration jail on the way back from honeymoon, then expeditiously removed, and deported and removed and barred from entry. So there you go. It happens to everybody. And I'll take over for a bit, Miri. So I lost precious money, time, and peace, certainly peace. And I found a way, and I'll do the same for all of you. So where am I now? Well, literally, I'm not in sunny Florida, but I'm in a sunny place. I live in sunny Florida. I have a 7-figure business. I've secured my assets. And most importantly, and this is what's really relevant here, is I have achieved location of financial freedom, and I get to travel freely. Now, that's really a crazy thing because I am on a 19-day cruise, and then I will be in Israel for 10 days. And not that I don't miss a beat, because when we're in the middle of the ocean, it's definitely challenging from a tech perspective. That will not happen in Israel. It's just a time difference there. But think about it. I can be anywhere in the world and still be serving our clients, and we do. Okay, sometimes there's more delay than they're used to because they're not going to have automatic response when I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. But there's the level of attention and care is second to none. And we love doing what we do. So our goal is to not have you suffer through any more winters, struggles, rules, or political BS. Not that there's not political BS in America. We won't even go down that road because definitely there's a lot of that, but it's just different. And it doesn't have as negative an impact on your pocketbook, which is why so many people want to move to the US. So these are just some of our successful stories. Some of our partners, a lot of you are familiar with the Keyspire community, and Michael Saraceni, who's the CEO of Keyspire, Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, you might know of him. Some of our clients, Carolyn Graham, Mike Wolf, the biggest, most successful US real estate investor from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Carolyn Gallardo, who is my business partner in Strategic REI, a business that we'll be talking about in a bit, and part of our How to Immigrate to Real Estate specialization. We have actually lots of clients in Calgary, and I've only spent an hour there. That's why I'm going there this summer. So I know that I'll be in Calgary on August 9th. The other dates I don't know yet. A couple of testimonials. Miri, maybe you could read through these quickly if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So we have Doug Ford, who was a pleasure to work with. He said, Lauren was very patient and understanding and wasn't trying to push me or put a square peg in a round hole. She was guiding us with care and consideration at every turn. It was a very enjoyable experience. She always made a point to communicate very quickly, and she gave great advice on a variety of different topics, even things that were perhaps a little outside of the box, and shared insight into the many other matters like helping him with health insurance and other educational requirements. Sorry, guys, my daughter's also sick and home from school, so that's why she's here.
I forgot about that on top of everything else. It's just a big family affair here. So welcome to our world. This is how we roll. Like I said, if you want formality, you come to the wrong place. If you want a family, we're here for you.
And then Monique
You
and
okay,
Randy,
Grace?
they said working with Lauren and the team.
By the way, Monique and Randy were referred by Doug,
By Doug.
and I was actually talking with Doug just yesterday because Doug initially did a change of status. I'll tell you really briefly what the difference is now, because I know that there's a couple of people that are already in the US and wondering how to stay. So change of status, I'll just do this while we're doing this this introduction. Actually, both of these clients achieve change of status E2 status, which means that you're in the US and you can get an expedited processing time, but you cannot leave, excuse me, leave the US with this status, because you change from a B1, B2, which you get when you come into the US, usually from Canada, or most countries. You might have ESTA if you're coming from Europe, and then you get then you change your status within the US. But the limit for that change of status in status visa is 2 years, and you cannot leave the country. And as soon as you leave the country, you lose your status. So Doug wants to be able to go back and forth and not have to be stuck here. So now he's ready to go and do consular processing, which is the more traditional route, which gives you 5 years generally for most countries, including the Netherlands if you're in Amsterdam, or including France or Italy, all 5-year visas, all 5-year renewable E2 visas. And the key is that in all of those cases, you can do a change of status from within the US, or you can do the full E2, which allows you to travel and gives you up to 5 years without those restrictions. So just FYI, Doug referred Monique and Randy, who, you know, this is how it works, right? Who in turn referred XYZ and so on, or XYZ and so on and so forth. So you want to read the next ones, Mary, for me, please?
Yeah, Carolyn Graham said, I think you'll be making a big mistake trying to do your own visa application. I don't know how people do it. It's complex and challenging, and there's so many considerations. You really need to have a professional team. And ours went smoothly because of Lauren's team with our interview and the whole process, because we had everything professionally done. Every I was dotted and T was crossed, and everything was done at a high level. And we were very confident about what was submitted. So working with Lauren and her service is worth it for sure. And then Camila Quesada is an EB5 applicant.
What is EB5? By the way, EB5, I'll just interject, is a direct path to a green card. It's it's a green card through investment, where you generally invest. At the time it was 500,000, now it's 800,000 minimum in an existing business, or start your own business and run the business and hire 10 employees, and you get a green card through investment. And so we do many of those as well. There are also ways to get an EB5 after an E2 and other visas as well. So that's just to give you some flavor for Camilla and her many family members that we are in the process of securing green cards for. I'll take over for a sec. So how can you avoid some of the most common mistakes? You have to build your investment or immigration plan with guidance from the right team of experts, like us, of course, because it's about so much more than just money. It's about your family. It's about your safety. It's about making the right choices. And it's about your future. Why do you need to act now? Well, you know that winter's coming. There's no avoiding it unless you're in Florida. And yes, we definitely avoid winter. Freedom. The US offers so many personal and professional freedoms, such as pursuing entrepreneurship, which is probably one of the biggest advantages to living in the US, is having the ability to build and grow and pursue your own business. Financial potential. the fact that laws are constantly changing needs to be in your mind, because at the end of the day, the quotas may change and you may not be able to get access to the visa if you don't act today. So if you want to do this, don't wait, just do it. Inflation rates will rise and your money will lose value. The value of the US dollar will continue to strengthen, especially in comparison to other world currencies. Your initial real estate investment could be as low as $100,000 or even less in some locations. The value of your investments will continue to grow, and you can rent out your real estate to earn monthly income while you watch its value increase. Your family will access better opportunities. For example, the US boasts many of the top universities in the world. Strong infrastructure and systems, which I'm not saying Canada and other countries don't have this, but it's a combination of all of these factors that are making the US so appealing, especially over the past few years. Diversifying your portfolio into other investments, real estate, different stocks, and different opportunities that are available in the US. For example, writing off your mortgage interest, having access to 1031 exchange, which is a real estate benefit, which we'll talk about in a moment, real estate tax benefit. And with real estate or buying a business, you have the ability to be your own boss, which is something that so many of us aspire to be. Sometimes I wonder why I aspired so much, but anyway, at the end of the day, it's fun. I definitely wouldn't be able to be on this trip if I weren't my own boss. So, who wants to invest in real estate? Love to see that in the chat. I'm sure that half of you probably either do already or would like to invest in real estate from some of our groups that we are a big part of, like from Keyspire to Wealth Genius to Glenn's group to Francois' group to Mike's group, you name it. We're here to help you. Love to see how many of you are interested in real estate. Now, we do work with people that just want to invest in US real estate and set up the structure and do a lot more than just setting up your entities. We do everything from creating a strategy to helping make sure that your tax issues are handled and that you're connected with all the right professionals, and that we create an investment strategy so that when you're going through your coaching program, you're able to actually access the information so that you can implement the strategy that we build with you. This is available as a download on our resources page, which Mary, I think we've included in the emails that are going to come to you after this event, with the recording of the event. And we have a resources page with all the downloads on it. This is one of them, and this is not about getting a visa. This is how to invest successfully in US real estate, 10 steps to successful US real estate investing. And as I said, it is available as a download. What is a 1031 exchange? So 1031 is a big deal in the US. It's a way to defer taxes on capital gains when you sell one property and purchase a like-in-kind property within certain conditions and criteria. And you'll say, well, as a Canadian, can't I access this? Well, yes, on paper you can, but as soon as you take the money back to Canada, they discount the deferral and they charge you you have to pay tax on the gain. So the only way to avoid that is by getting a visa and getting your social security number and being able to keep the money in the US. Some hot markets. For example, in Central Florida, you can buy these properties. Central Florida is like the Orlando area. Davenport is not too far from Disney. And for under $500,000, you can buy this 5-4 home, and you could theme it out and rent it out for a lot of money each night. Like I'm talking about maybe $2,000 a night. And for $400,000, you get a 2.5 in Davenport for $400,000. What could you buy in Southwest Florida? Well, here's a duplex. Actually, it looks like more than a duplex for $750 in Cape Coral, Florida. Excuse me. And the beauty of Cape Coral is that it's called the Miami of the West Coast. And it's a really up and coming area. It's super cool. There's a lot of Finger Lakes. It's beautiful. It's near Naples. And if you haven't been there, it's definitely worth a visit. I have an amazing partner that sells in Southwest Florida and would be happy to help you find the perfect investment opportunity in the area. Oh, sorry. And then there's also this in Cape Coral as well, that this duplex is under $400,000. In Southeast Florida, which is where Mary and I live, in Delray Beach, you could buy this beautiful, I think it's a 4-3 for $400,000 in Delray Beach. And then you can buy this duplex in Hollywood, Florida, a little closer to Mary, further south than me. I'm in Boca, for $600,000, and really turn a nice profit and ROI. Your cap rates in Florida are going to be between 7 and 10%, nothing like the 3 to 4% that you generally see in Ontario. You may not have the same upside, but you're going to make money. And that's the beauty of it, that you are going to make money now, and the opportunities are really abounding. We don't just cover Florida. We cover all kinds of, well, all the states. This is 2 property opportunities in Tucson for $315 and $435. As you can see, they're very different. I'd certainly take the $435 property. I think you could turn a nice profit on that, even if you rent it as long-term, short-term, medium-term. The $315 you could probably do as a fix and flip, and you can make a nice profit on that too. In Texas, you could see some opportunities here for under 600,000 and 407 respectively, well under $1 million Canadian. And for less than 500,000 in various parts of Florida, you can also access some great opportunities. In less than 200,000, all local to us in South Florida, you can buy condos that will turn a nice profit. You could even just rent them seasonally and probably make $10,000 a month easy, because people are willing to spend the money for the good locations. And even for less than 100,000, you can access property. So what does all of this mean? Well, our signature program is 10 steps to immigrate through real estate. And again, this is available as a download. And you have to follow all of these steps in order to qualify to use real estate as a path to your immigration. Steps 1 through 8 of this download, from recommended investment, number of doors, cross-border tax advice, asset protection, ideal structure, professional consulting, financing, business plan. All 8 of those are relevant whether you're immigrating or not, whether you're planning to get a visa or not. But the beauty of setting things up properly is that if you do it from the get-go, you're going to have everything set up for success so that you don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel when you decide that you want a visa. Because oftentimes people will start and say, just a moment, I just want to invest. And then they'll suddenly realize, well, maybe getting a visa makes sense because I'm going to get access to US financing and build my credit, and maybe send my kids to school, to college in the US, and not have to pay those hefty foreign student fees and so on. So suddenly 9 and 10, legal guidance and filing a petition and visa success become relevant. And we want to set you up for future success, not just short-term plan, but long-term plans. So we have created a custom business, my partner and I, called Strategic REI, Strategic Real Estate Investing. It's a custom built business in a box for real estate investors. It's by invitation only. When we first opened this about 14 months ago, we probably had 100 calls, and about 80 of those people could not possibly qualify for this process. They didn't have the capital, they didn't have the funding, they didn't have the experience, and we would have had to teach them everything about real estate investing and investing in the US, and it just wasn't feasible. So now it's by invitation only. We usually extend the invitation after our onboarding call, depending on the client. And the beauty of this is that it's a business on its own. There is an investment in this business, but this allows you to build a supplemental real estate business that will get you a visa because you'll have a business around the real estate. So the real estate becomes secondary to the business, and the business is what gets the visa. So why does this matter? So immigration doesn't like real estate as a path to immigration. And so many immigration lawyers say, oh no, you can't use real estate and get a visa. Well, I can prove them wrong, because every single time that we've had a client that's invested in real estate, we've gotten a visa. I've never had a denial. So obviously there's something to our formula. So we created this model as a supplement to help them and make sure. And then Carolyn, my partner, works very closely. I don't know if there's any of our clients on the call, works very closely, has weekly calls to build a business around what the client wants to do. So this could be short-term rentals. It could be BRRRRs. It could be fix and flips. It could be a combination of multiple different models. It could be that you want to do themed rentals in the Orlando area, or maybe you want to do rentals to a particular segment of people, like maybe nurses, travel nurses. So we build the business around you. You don't come to us. It's not a franchise where you say, oh, I want to fit into your business. No, we coach you to build a business that is visa friendly around what you want to do in the real estate investing space. So it's met with extremely, extremely positive results. And we have very, very happy clients. And we really love working on this. It's our sweet spot, and definitely our signature program, and where the rubber really hits the road. And everything is included in the business, except the real estate, of course. We have to still buy that, but we're going to help. We analyze the deals. Like right now, we're looking at an Airbnb for a client, and the numbers made sense. So now the offer is going in. So we bring in the realtors. It's true full service, like everything we do. So I'm going to stop for a moment and see if there's questions right now before we talk about why you want or need a visa, just so that I can rest my voice and be able to answer the questions in a timely manner. And I see you, Daniela. I haven't seen you in so long. It's nice to see you here. Hi. Does anybody have any questions?
Ron actually had a question, Lauren. Will a business investment restaurant for over 800,000 in a leased premises comply with the requirements?
For an EB5, Ron, are you asking about?
Yes. Sorry, I'm a little technically unadept.
Yeah.
On mute.
Okay,
but
so
yes, for an EB5, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so first of all, it's not just about the 800,000. I don't know how it's invested, and I cannot give you specific guidance about that. I'd have to look at the whole picture. See, the 800,000 can't just be in property. You have to be hiring the 10 people, and at least a portion of the investment has to go toward the hiring. So we do a feasibility study for you.
New hires or existing?
10. No,
employees.
They can't be existing.
So
Minimum of 10 new full-time.
I've got a restaurant, it's over $1 million, but it's in leased space. They don't own the real estate. So
owning the real estate is not relevant. It's not necessary. Right. It's about the business, what you're going to do with the business, how you're going to expand the business, how your investment's going to be allocated. So like I said, we do have a feasibility program that we go through for EB5. That is a $20,000 investment to make sure that the business makes sense. I can tell you that on the face of it, a restaurant can potentially qualify as long as they're going to expand the business. So there's a possibility, yes. Can I tell you for sure? No, because I don't know enough.
What does that mean, expand the business?
Well, why are you hiring 10 new people? You can't fire 10 people and hire 10 people. You have to be hiring 10 new people because you need to expand the business in some way.
So new people is not the people that are already employed by the business I'm buying?
That's correct.
So if
and
the
you can't
business
fire them
currently
and
has
replace
10
them.
if the business currently has 10 employees or more, then that doesn't count in the transaction. I've got to actually add additional 10 additional.
That's correct.
Employees. Uh-huh.
Yes.
They must be full-time?
Yes. In a restaurant space, you can combine part-time to create full-time, but it's the equivalent of 10 full-time permanent employees.
Additional, not
Any other questions?
Yeah, that's
no additional.
Point of confusion.
Yeah, it's definitely new, permanent, full-time employees.
Okay.
That's very clear. There's the only way that you can ever use existing employees is if the business is a troubled business, and then there's a formula that's applied to show that it's a troubled business. It has to have lost 20% of its revenues over the past 2 years, and it's complicated. So if you'd like to have a separate call, we can set that up, but I can't give you legal guidance on specifics about the EB5 without having a consultation with the client. Julie.
Thank you.
Of course. Julie, go ahead.
Yes, there's Sorry, I thought you said Julie. I'll wait.
I did. No, I think that was Victoria.
Yes, don't worry, Julie. I'm part of Lawrence's staff. I thought that you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize her accent anywhere.
Okay, hi. So my question is, can you still do real estate without the visa, or it's
Yes.
you recommend to do both? Like how?
Well, I always recommend to do both because it's a completely different set of circumstances. But if you just want to invest in real estate, you don't need a visa to do that.
All right.
I would say
and-
20% of our clients are just real estate investors that don't want or particularly need visas.
But how do you not how are you able to not get double taxed if you're not doing
Yeah, so that's because you're going to set up your structure with us. We have a real estate investing structure program so that you avoid double taxation in your investing, because if you don't set it up the right way, then yes, you are subject to double taxation.
and how long does that take?
Like it could be done relatively quickly within a month to 6 weeks.
Okay, so you do have a program like that. That if
Yeah,
the person
we
is not-
absolutely do.
Okay, and how do I get more information on that, please?
We'll share that information with you, and if Mary will make sure that, well, Mary might be having a baby. We'll make sure that we include the link to the real estate investing program, and we're actually in the process of building a new program right now with our legal and accounting partners, so that it will be a little less expensive and a little more robust, believe it or not. So if you we'll share the link with you, but we'll be able to honor the new pricing, which will be about $1,000 less.
And one more question, sorry. If
Sure.
I was wanting to get it done like yesterday type of thing, is that something which is?
There's no such thing. It doesn't make a difference. It's not about that. It's about the fact that it takes time to get your tax ID. So the first thing, it's a process, okay? So and the process starts with an onboarding call. You pay a deposit, you get the onboarding call, okay? When the onboarding call happens, we then introduce you to our asset protection attorney team, and they set the structure up. They get it done pretty quickly. You have to have a call with them. You have to choose your names, okay? And but then we have to wait for the state. We can't change. However, like there's no expedited processing in most states, like Florida, no chance. So you pay the fee and you wait. Just depends on how long their queue is. Once they get that process, you have to apply for your tax ID. After which you then set up your bank account. Now, that is not to say that in the process, because we're going to connect you with the right realtors, you can't make an offer in your personal name. There is no tax implication of doing that, and you can do it. You can even close in your personal name and transfer it to a company shortly thereafter if need be. So don't worry about the timeline. We've never had a problem so far, and I'm not planning to start now. Okay?
Okay, great, thank you.
I don't even know how all those words got out of my mouth, but anyway, they did. So
We have another
any
question.
other questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
If real estate investing is hard to get a visa, what type of business can you create? Property management or other?
Okay, so I didn't say it's hard to get a visa. I said that you have to follow a certain process, and that's why we've had success. Okay, most people, real estate investing is passive. The only way to get a visa is if you're running an active business. Our superpower rests in transitioning a passive real estate investor into an active real estate business owner. So if you want to do it and you want to get a visa through real estate investing, we can make it happen. Let's talk a little bit more. I think that there's some slides about the other business options that are available, such as franchises, buying an existing business, starting your own business, which, it depends on what you're doing. And we work through all of that in your onboarding call, okay? So it's a process.
Okay.
So let's go through some of these slides and see if we can figure that out. Why do you want or need a visa? So these are just some of the benefits offered by getting a visa. Julie, you might want to look at this. Just doesn't have to be today, but even if you just want to start investing and start making some money, keep this in mind because you'll have it available to you by working with us because we are full service. You get your social security number, you build credit, you access American financing, you have the freedom to go back and forth freely, you have the ability to send your kids to school, and your spouse gets to work and even get his or her real estate license. You can build your business and invest freely. You can establish strategic relationships, avoid paying high taxes, potentially build a business to access an eventual green card, and qualify for the 1031 exchange, which I mentioned earlier. Now, this is a little about all the different visas. I think that because of my voice, I'm going to avoid talking extensively about this. I know, Miri, that we have the video. I think I'd like to share the video when we send the other video, the recording, so that we don't take up the time to do that. But we'll just tell you that briefly, there are multiple different visas available. The most common one that we work with is called the E2. It's based on a substantial investment. Let me see if I have the slide. Yep. In a non-marginal business. So what in the world does that mean? Substantiality is determined based on the type of business. So if you're investing in real estate, we won't even work with you on strategic REI or on any real estate investing or anything unless you have at least 300,000 liquid ready to invest in the business, in our services, and in the first property down payment. Okay? Non-marginal means you're hiring people. You're not just going to buy one or two properties. If you were just to buy property, you'd need at least 8 or 10 doors. Our business model allows you to just close on one or have one in process in order to qualify for the visa. But you do have to hire people. It can be a property manager. It could even be a social media person. They don't have to be top tier $100,000 employees. So there's a treaty. I think we have Italians and people from the Netherlands and a few others on the call. Most European countries qualify for the E2. Canada certainly does. Mexico does. Many South American countries. Not Brazil, not China, not India, not South Africa, not Venezuela. Let's think about some others. I can't think of them right now. Russia, no. But that's another story altogether right now. But suffice it to say that there are always ways to access visas. If not the E2, then you might want to go for what's called the L1, which is a intercompany transfer of a senior executive or manager to an affiliate or subsidiary in the US. Okay, and then the E1 is based on trade. So the E2 is based on investment, substantial investment. The E1 is based on trade, substantial trade, at least $100,000 in trade. It's easier to quantify and maintain an E2 than an E1 because with an E1, you have to maintain that level of trade consistently throughout the visa. And we can talk about that if you think you qualify, if you're doing trade shows or you're doing business back and forth already. If you have $100,000 in business, then you might be able to qualify for an E1. And then I mentioned the EB5. Sorry, the slide is out of here, which is about the green card through investment, at least 800,000. It's actually 1.05 million in most locations, and it's location dependent. You have to hire 10 employees and you can get a green card. Now, this is our system. We have a 3-phase full service program for any visa that you're working on with us. In the first phase is all the pre-visa stuff, finding the business, setting up the business, making the investment, setting up your bank accounts, getting your tax IDs, all of the pre-visa stuff that needs to happen before you start phase 2, which is working on the business plan. We've been writing business plans for 2 decades. We have written business plans for every type of business you can probably imagine. Well, maybe not every. Actually, I was just thinking to myself, we even wrote a business for a maternity shop, Miri, so a long time ago, a business plan. So there you go. And a postpartum mom's business at some point too. So we've done it all. We cover the gamut, and our business plans are second to none, literally. So then that's phase 2, get the business plan done, and then we move on to phase 3. And sometimes these phases move into each other, and phase 3 is the actual legal services. We bring in our legal team and we prepare a stellar petition based on the strong business plan that we have already written. And then we submit, wait for the interview, and everybody's happy because they get the interview as quickly as possible, and they get the approval. And then they get to do their thing in the US. The worst that could happen if you don't do any of this is that your investment could be at risk, your visa could be denied, you'd be deported or removed, like my ex-husband. You may lose your business, which he did. By the way, he had a body jewelry business, lovely Jewish boy that he was. You may be unable to run your business. You may be unable to visit your investments. You may lose out on potential deals, and you'll have limited options for credit or financing. So what is your next step? Get the answers that you need by setting up a consultation. If you have specific questions, you should set the consultation up with me. That's the second link. If you want general information, you should set the consult up with our team. Hopefully Shema will be able to take over when Miri is at home with the baby, but she's only allowed like 2 days off. So, right, Miri?
I thought I had
So,
an hour off.
An hour? Oh, wow. Yeah, no, Wayne knows my number and he knows where I live, so it's not a good idea. So Miri's lucky because I happen to adore her and I adore her family, so I would always be very generous with that. But the reality is that she, like me, cares about clients and we really are here for you. But Shema and Wuna and Victoria and Raymond are just amazing team members and really know their stuff, and we're here to help you and serve you, and we will make this all happen for you. Now, here are a couple more testimonials. One from Adele Gigiosia, whom some of you may know. She is just a real estate investor. She doesn't want a visa, and she just adores me. I adore her too, and she knows that it takes a village, and I really built her village for her. Caesar actually invested in a property management franchise, moved from Newmarket. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to change the slide. Moved from Newmarket last year, got his visa, I think it's a year ago, January, so we're at a year and a half now, and he's building it in South Florida, not too far from me. Mike Wolf, not a visa applicant, but I work with him and so many of his clients. He has an amazing coaching program called the Wolf Pack. Some of you may know of Mike. He's very well known, and he has a great social media presence. And then Denise Evans, whom I met through Keyspire, just a real estate investor for now, but will be getting a visa for herself. And I think her son married an American, and now her daughter wants a visa, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't remember. But one of her children will be getting a visa with us as well. And Denise loves the fact that when I was in Israel in November, she was closing on her property and she called me in a total panic, and I calmed her down. Remember it was we were on a bus to the Dead Sea and she was calling me frantically, and I was like, "Don't worry, Denise," and I calmed her down, and she just thought that just meant the world to her. And that's really what it's all about for me. So that's what I love to do, and I can't help myself. So why book a consult? Because we really are the only full service, we are the only full service answer out there. We can help you by answering all of your questions about the full scope of what you need and helping you to start working on a roadmap to your American dream. It's the easiest way to evaluate your options without having to buy a business or pack your bags. It's an opportunity to explore your personalized situation in a private setting with our team or with me. It's a way to save time and money without chasing dead ends. And because we're so much more than an immigration firm, we're truly your partner throughout the process. And I've got to give Miri credit for this quote: invest with confidence, invest towards your US visa, and invest to achieve your American dream. I should have put Miri Lenoff after that, but I think I'm going to do that for the next slide. Victoria, put that on your notes, please. Okay. But at the end of the day, it really is about the fact that we're not just an immigration company or immigration lawyer firm. We're full service. We help with the business. Most immigration lawyers don't understand the business side, and most business lawyers don't understand the immigration side, and never a twain shall meet. And we bring everything together for you. And we also have that specialization in real estate because I'm also a realtor, as I mentioned, and the chair of the International Investment Committee for EXP Commercial. I have done deals in literally every state and many countries, and understand what is needed to bring the value of real estate to the visa, and also to help you to make sure, like for Julie, you avoid double taxation. So if you're ready to book a call by the end of by the end of tomorrow, Friday, we'll credit you the full amount of the consult toward our services if you end up proceeding, which we don't usually do. We usually give 50%, but we're going to give a credit for the full $397, which is what it costs to work with me, or $97 if you set it up with the team. So isn't it time to take action and get those monkeys off of your back? Let's do this. investingcrossborders.net/consult with the team, or /Lauren ESQ with me. And I will leave this slide up for a moment. I think that that's the last slide anyway. And I'll try to answer questions. And oh my God, I somehow got through this. This is like a miracle. I'm in shock. I think
Yeah.
Miri's in shock. Her baby's not dropped out yet. We're not there. So we're good. We're both good here.
We're good, Lauren, and we have some questions too.
Okay, cool.
So somebody asked a while ago that he has a B1, B2 visa, interested in real estate investment. Can he invest on a B1, B2 status?
So you can invest without any status. And B1, B2 is really not a status for Canadians. It's an automatic grant of up to 6 months to be in the US. So you get in B1, B2, it's just a like exploration visa. It's like you're allowed to be in the US as a Canadian, or from somewhere else, you have to actually apply for it, okay? And so with that, you can invest freely, just like Julie can. You just have to make sure you set up the right structure if you're not planning to get a visa. Or even if you are, you still need to set up the right structure.
Yeah. How important is the hiring of employees over the amount of money in the business makes for an E2?
It's not about one thing over another. It's about all things together and making sure that your business plan is structured so that you're reflecting both the employment as well as the return on your investment and your anticipated profits. But you have to be able to check all the boxes to be able to qualify for a visa.
What is the minimum investment in real estate keeping immigrating to the US?
As I mentioned, we don't work with clients that have under 300,000, give or take, a few dollars, US. Okay, I want to be clear, US. And that doesn't mean it has to all be available on day one, but it has to be available and invested at the time of application. So at least, but a portion of that is going to be invested in your down payment on your first property, at least.
Yeah. All right, next question. What are the visa requirements for US real estate investments? I think you just mentioned that, so we can skip it.
Yeah.
What is the time frame involved for the E2 visa?
So the time frame depends on you largely. Right now, if you were to start today, which is June 22nd, I would say you'd have your visa in place by the end of the year with the interview and having been processed and everything being done. But that's because the interview timeline is not delayed too much right now. But if you waited until, let's say, August, crazy as this sounds, you might end up not getting a visa for a year because the timeline changes for the interviews. So that's the part we can control. We can get everything done within 90 days if you started today. Everything done meaning on our part other than the interview. The interview is the variable that we cannot control. We push, and oftentimes, even if there is a delay, we'll get an expedited interview, but there's no guarantee.
Do I have to stay out of the US during the process if I invest in real estate?
No. You don't have to stay out of the US at all. You can't just stay in the US unless you have the time within the 6 months, but you don't have to stay in the US or out of the US during the process. By the way, I'll add something else. Even after the process, you don't have to be in the US or out of the US for any specific amount of time. That's the beauty of the E2 or the E1 visa, is that they're non-resident, non-immigrant visas. You can be anywhere in the world. You could be in Canada and have this visa and just allow yourself, as long as you're directing and managing the enterprise and can prove that, you're fine.
Okay. And I think,
No more?
Yeah, we had one more. Yeah, is there a specific state you recommend to set up the business, and can we invest in another state?
What do you think?
What do I think?
What do you think my answer is going to be?
You want to invest in the state where you're going to invest?
yeah, I mean, look, we obviously have an affinity for Florida because that's where we are. People are doing extremely well with real estate investing in Florida, but Arizona and Texas and North Carolina and Michigan and Ohio, depends on what you're looking for because it's a completely different market in Ohio. You know, like you're looking at a $40,000 property, which in Florida you wouldn't even get a garage for $40,000. So, let alone the car to put in it. So there you go. So it really depends on what you're looking for, and we can work with any state. It doesn't really matter. And yes, you can start in one state and expand to another state. You just have to set up additional entities.
Yeah. People are asking about Mel Robbins.
I think that was part 2 of that.
Yeah. So Mel Robbins is someone who Lauren.
Yes. Yeah, and she actually endorsed my book. So she's not a client. She's American, but I adore her, and she's definitely one of my I don't know what you call her, one of my mentors, I guess.